Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today, we're making our first ever completely community-picked character. In case you haven't seen, over the past month, the community has been choosing the franchise and character that we're covering today, and they have settled on Scar from Full Metal Alchemist. Going forward, we're going to try to have one community-picked video a month. So if you want a larger part in which videos we make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our posts. Alright, enough shilling, back to the video. As one of the last remaining Ishvalans after his people were wiped out, Scar made it his life goal to use his brother's research to extract vengeance on the Amestrian people by systematically taking out their strongest military asset, state alchemists. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so what do we need to make the man with no name? First off, we need to be able to hunt down whatever passes for a state alchemist in your world. In our previous Full Metal Alchemist videos, which you can see here, we have made all of our alchemists kineticists, but we're going to pick up ways to combat anyone who decides they want to use magic to try to play God. Next, when Scar gets it over his head, he will often destroy the battlefield to slow his opponents down long enough for him to make his escape. So let's be able to do that. And finally, Scar was single-handedly able to strike fear in an entire nation, so picking up a couple of ways to capitalize on that fear would be extremely helpful. We may not know Scar's name, but we do know he's a human, so we're going to take the human ancestry. That means an attribute boost to both our strength and our constitution, as well as a 25-foot movement speed. For our heritage, versatile humans get a bonus general feat, which we'll use to pick up the Die Hard feat, letting us die at dying 5 rather than dying 4. Scar is one of the hardest people to kill in Full Metal Alchemist. And that's a world chock full of homunculi and living philosopher stones, so that's definitely saying something. Even before the Ishvalan Civil War, Scar was a warrior monk, giving us the perfect justification to pick up the martial disciple background. This gives us 2 attribute boosts, one of which must be to either strength or dexterity. Luckily for us, we're actually going to pick up both of these attributes. We also get free training in athletics and warfare lore, and strength-based martial disciples get the quick jump skill feat, letting us stay mobile on the battlefield with characters who can change the terrain on a whim. For our class, we're going to choose Kineticist. I know it may seem a little strange to give the same class we gave to the Alchemist to the guy who's sworn off alchemy, but hear me out. Swearing off using alchemy doesn't really mean much if you don't have the ways to access that alchemy in the first place. Watch this. I swear I will never sprout wings and circumnavigate the globe. Doesn't have much ring to it, does it? Besides, we still need a way to replicate Scar's destruction alchemy, and the disintegrate spell is a little too high level for something that Scar uses on the regular. As a kineticist, we're going to pick up training in perception and will saves. Scar isn't the best at seeing the bigger picture, and often lets his anger get the better of him. He does, however, get expert in fortitude saves and reflex saves, perfect for the physical training Scar undergoes throughout the entire series. For skills, we're going to pick up training in nature, plus 3 plus our intelligence modifier skills of our choice. Scar doesn't use a lot of gear, but we get proficiency in up to simple weapons and up to light armor, and we don't really have a reason to lock us into just using our fists, so I won't tell if you don't. For our attributes, strength is at a plus 3. While not the strongest in the Full Metal Alchemist universe, Scar is able to go toe-to-toe with Armstrong without ending up dead, and even Sloth couldn't manage that. Dexterity is a plus 2, letting us bob and weave away from incoming attacks, and Con is also at a plus 3, giving us both the survivability to survive even King Brownlee's attacks, and the offensive presence to shake a battlefield. Intelligence is at a plus 0. Unlike most alchemists, Scar relies on his brother's studies for his abilities. Wisdom is at a plus 1. While definitely not level-headed, Scar is able to put aside his anger and need for revenge in order to do what must be done and stop the homunculus. And finally, Charisma is at a plus 0. Diplomacy is definitely not one of Scar's strong suits. For our skills, we're going to wind up legendary in athletics and intimidation, because we're a big, scary, strong guy. No master skills, but we do get expert in acrobatics for battlefield mobility and survival for tracking down alchemists. Our trained skills are arcana and nature, so we can know just a little bit about both alchemy and alchemy, and stealth, so we can hide even when the entire nation's looking for us. Alright, now it's time to jump into the build proper. Right after we remind you that if you like this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe. We are trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and it's looking like it's going to be close, but only 45% of the viewers of this channel are actually subscribed. So if even half the people who actually regularly watch this channel subscribed, we would be there in no time. So if you'd be kind enough to help us out, we'll definitely do our part by keeping the good content coming. Level 1 kineticists get quite a few things. First off, we get to pick an elemental gate. While theoretically Scar is able to destroy anything he touches, he mainly uses it to destroy the ground. So we're going to stick with just the Earth Gate. With this, when we use an impulse that takes 2 or more actions, the flying debris grants us a bit of protection, providing us a +1 bonus to our AC. We also get 4 impulses, 2 of which must be Earth impulses. Base Kinesis lets us do quite a few things, only one of which is in character though. Suppress lets us destroy 1 piece of earthen material of up to light bulk. This will heighten as we level up, eventually letting us destroy 4 bulk at once. Elemental Blast lets us shoot a blast of earth to hit a foe up to 30 feet away. This seems like creation, so you have one of 2 options. Either don't use this ability until you've overcome your emotional trauma and decide that alchemy isn't all bad actually, or just reflavor the blast to be a shockwave that results from your destruction alchemy. For our earth impulses, Tremor lets us destroy the battlefield, dealing damage to any creature within a 10-foot burst, as well as possibly making them knock prone. It even makes the area difficult terrain until the ground settles at the beginning of our next turn. And finally, the Stepping Stones impulse. Honestly, I couldn't think of a good way to reflavor this into destruction alchemy, but this will be a good way to shape the battlefield once we start using a creation alchemy at the end of the series. In addition to the impulses, we pick up a class feat and an ancestry feat level 1. For our ancestry feat, we're going to be creating a lot of difficult terrain in this build, so let's pick up the Feather Step feat with general training to help us mitigate some of the consequences for ourselves. We also get a class feat, and we're going to go with Extended Kinesis. This is another ability that won't do much for us until we start using alchemy's creative side, but once we do, it lets us extend what we can do with base kinesis. So we have a way to replicate what other alchemists can do. Now we need a way to deal with those pesky alchemists. At level 2, the Barbarian dedication lets us do just that. This dedication lets us go into a rage, gaining temporary hit points equal to our level, and a bit of extra damage on our strikes, at the cost of -1 to AC, and being unable to use any of our abilities with a concentrate tag. This means we can't use impulses and benefit from rage at the same time. Honestly, the benefits of rage don't give us much that we can practically use at this level, but it does allow us to select a Barbarian Instinct. The Superstition Instinct is the perfect fit for a character who wants to hunt down mages, which is kind of what we're all about, so I think it might come in handy. Keep in mind that with the Superstition Instinct, we can't cast any spells or we lose all of the bonuses that Superstition Instinct gives us. Luckily for us, impulses aren't spells. We also get a skill feat at this level. The Slippery Prey skill feat lets us reduce the multiple attack penalty of any escape attempt we make. This will help us out if any of the Mestrians try to take us in for our crimes. At level 3, we pick up the general feat Incredible Initiative. Scar is the nation's most wanted, so it stands to reason that he's ready to jump into combat at a moment's notice. We also get Extract Elements, which doesn't really fit the character, but it does let us hit creatures who are immune to Earth, which is none of them. Great! Also, we get Will Expertise, boosting our Fortitude saves to Master. At level 4, we're going to pick up the Barbarian feat No Escape to chase down foes who attempt to run away. Scar's battle style relies on him getting in close to get one hand on the opponent, so it wouldn't really do to have enemies be able to get range on him. We also get Intimidating Glare, letting us put our Ishvalan eyes to good use to frighten foes like chimeras who can't speak our language. At level 5, we pick up Clever Improviser. Scar spent a lot of time on his own, and he's had to learn to do a lot with little help from anyone else, so this will make sure that we have some way of dealing with any needed skill check. Level 5 is also our first gate threshold. We're going to expand our Earth Gate in order to pick up the Aura Junction. Now, whenever our kinetic aura is active, all spaces within our aura become difficult terrain as we destroy the surface of the ground to impede enemy escapes. And if an unwanted enemy does get close to us, we can pick up the Calcifying Sand Impulse feat to destroy the ground underneath us and dodge the attack, both gaining resistance to incoming damage and possibly slowing down an enemy as he falls into our newly loosened rocks. At level 6, we're going to pick up the Superstition Instinct ability. This gives us a slew of abilities when we rage against an enemy mage. These benefits include increased damage, a +2 status bonus to saving throws against magic, and a bit of healing whenever we first go into rage. This is a great fallback if we get close enough to an enemy to fight them hand to hand, rather than rely on our impulses. We also get the Terrifying Resistance skill feat, even further increasing our resistance against incoming fireballs as long as the foe has been demoralized by us. At level 7, we pick up the Toughness feat for some extra hit points, and Kinetic Expertise for some extra potency on the battlefield. At level 8, we're going to pick up Barbarian Resiliency. This feat gives us an extra 12 hit points, as well as 3 more hit points in any future levels that we take a Barbarian feat from the archetype. We also get the Powerful Leap skill feat, letting us bound 10-foot gaps in a single action without even needing to roll. At level 9, Haughty Obstinacy is an Ancestry feat we can pick up to reflect Scar's refusal to follow orders. There aren't a lot of mind control abilities in Fullmetal Alchemist, but there's plenty of them in the Pathfinder setting, so this feat will make sure that we are prepared. We also reach our next gate threshold at this level. We're actually going to fork the path here to pick up the Water Impulse. This will let us get our hands on the Impenetrable Fog Impulse to not only provide concealment to anyone in a 10-foot burst, but also make that entire burst difficult terrain. And finally, at this level, Perception Expertise boosts our will saves to Legendary. At level 10, we're going to take up the Aura Shaping class feat. This lets us fine-tune our Destruction Alchemy, making the aura of difficult terrain surrounding us as large as we like, up to 20 feet. We also get Rapid Mantle, effectively giving us another 5 foot on all of our leaps, by allowing us to pull ourselves up onto a ledge and stand up for free whenever we grab an edge. At level 11, we're going to pick up the Eyes of the City feat to ask around for any state alchemist using our Society skill rather than a Survival skill. It's kind of hard to follow footprints in Central. We also finally get Weapon Expertise, boosting our Lore Heraldry skill to Expert, and Kinetic Quickness to boost our Reflex saves to Master, as well as counting all successes as critical successes. And Reflow Elements, allowing you to change all the options that I've suggested after you realize that this is your game and you should build your character the way you want to. But you should still watch my build guides. I'd miss you if you left. At level 12, the Mage Hunter feat gives us yet another way to punish enemy spellcasters, letting us make a melee strike against a creature we've seen cast a spell, and if we hit them, in addition to any damage we would do, we also make them stupefied for a round, giving them a chance to fail any spells they cast until the beginning of our next turn. We also get Intimidating Prowess at this level, allowing us to intimidate foes with our big muscles rather than our big words, giving us a +2 on any attempts we make to demoralize or coerce a foe. At level 13, we pick up Bounce Back. This Ancestry feat lets us recover from dying once per day without increasing our wounded value. May's Alchemy really works wonders. We also reach another gate threshold at this point, expanding the portal and giving us access to Rolling Mudslide. This impulse lets us deal damage over a 30-foot cone, while offering us yet another way to slow our foes down, making them fall prone every time they move. We also get Light Armor Expertise and Weapon Specialization at this level, increasing our martial capabilities both in offense and defense. At level 14, we're going to pick up the Reactive Strike skill feat. This feat gives us a chance to interrupt enemy spellcasters as they try to cast spells. And since it triggers off the Manipulate trait, it can even interrupt several impulses to shut down enemy kineticists. And the Terrified Retreat skill feat lets you turn your demoralize attempts against lower level creatures into ways to straight up end fights. At level 15, we get Numb to Death, reflecting our brief stint being dead as part of Father's Philosopher's Stone. We also get Kinetic Master, increasing our impulse DCs, and greater kinetic durability, boosting our Fortitude saves to Legendary, and ensuring we never critically fail a Fortitude save again. We promised a way to fight every mage, and that includes mages like Edward, who use their magic to give themselves more weapons. At level 16, we get Disarming Assault, letting us attack a foe and take their weapon with one swift motion. And the Lasting Coercion skill feat ensures that when we tell someone to do something, we can be sure they'll do it, no matter how long it takes. At level 17, we'll pick up Stubborn Persistence. It's not a really good feat, but when all you make is humans, your choices are really this or Heroic Presence. And I have a hard time justifying why the guy who spends the first half of the show killing all Alchemist DCs indiscriminately is a hero. We also get our last gate threshold here, letting us pick up the Rattle the Earth impulse feat, allowing us to reach our maximum potential when it comes to destroying battlefields. One of the big themes of Fullmetal Alchemist is that when you let rage take over your life, it becomes contagious, not just corrupting your life, but also the lives of anyone near you. And we can mirror that theme at level 18 with the Share Rage feat, letting any ally within 30 feet gain the base benefits of our rage. Also, the Battlecry skill feat lets us start off any fight by striking fears into our opponents. At level 19, we're going to pick up the Fleet feat, letting us close gaps with ease, adding 5 feet to our movement speed, as well as increasing our combat prowess to its maximum with Kinetic Legend, and Light Armor Mastery, boosting our society checks to Expert. Oh, and I guess I should mention Final Gate. This lets us automatically start each of our turns with a free action that lets us gather elements, basically eliminating the action tax of any of our impulses. And finally, at level 20, we can use a nationwide alchemy circle to permanently quicken ourselves, gaining an additional action on every turn to use an impulse or gather elements. Combine this with Final Gate, and we basically have 5 actions every round. Kinda overshadows the fact that we also get the wall jump skill feat, giving us anime parkour. But do you know what's not overshadowed by an amazing level 20 feat? Pros and cons. Have I mentioned that we are really good at killing mages? With several different ways of punishing specifically spellcasters, including ways to stupefy them or interrupt their spells, you can rest assured that you are a spellcaster's worst nightmare. Also, we have plenty of ways to control a battlefield. Just about all of our impulses have difficult terrain. We have several ways of ignoring difficult terrain ourselves, and if an opponent does get away from you, no escape ensures that we have no problem chasing them down. And speaking of our impulses, can we talk about them? Our impulse DC is legendary proficiency, and even our base elemental blast does d8s of damage. And I don't know if you know this or not, spellcasters are considered the most tanky of classes. Alright, now for the cons. This build is not nearly as offensive as I'd like. While adding the Barbarian archetype to a martial class gives it a lot of interesting damage options, the Kineticist is not your typical martial class, and the Barbarian archetype definitely does not turn it into one. We may be fine picking off spellcasters with our low AC and hit points, but if we want to fight actual martials, we're going to need some help. Add to that the fact that our Barbarian abilities and our Kineticist abilities don't really work well together. If we want to use any of our rage abilities, we essentially lock ourselves out of impulses, which, I don't know if you've noticed or not, are kind of our main way of doing damage. This wouldn't be so bad, but in case you forgot, we're a Kineticist. That means we don't get above expert proficiency in any of our martial attacks, meaning while we can seriously do some damage, we might not be the most accurate in the world. And finally, our impulses create wide swaths of difficult terrain. This may be great for ensuring that enemies can't move as freely as they want to, but it also means our allies can't move as freely as they want to. And remember, we need them to take care of the marshals for us. But, all that being said, this is still a great build, especially if you have a DM who has a tendency to throw one too many liches at the party. Alright, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out. And, now that you're done watching this video, make sure to go over to the community tab and vote for who you want to see in next month's community video. Bye!